Let's give them some business. A new report shows 10% of American millennials expect they will never own a home. Apartment List researcher Rob Warnock says some people think millennials are foregoing home ownership to stay nimble, mobile.
Yeah.
But he says the numbers don't show that at all.
So I don't think that that's the case. I think the vast majority still value home ownership as an investment and as a lifestyle choice.
And Warnock says Austin's millennials that intend to buy a new home, almost half have yet to start saving for a down payment. Still dealing with some college debt in some cases.
Yeah. I mean, that's so changed the landscape of everything. The college debt as far as how people are living their lives and decisions they're making, and a lot of things are just delayed years and years and years.
I think that number's kind of low. Only 10% say they don't expect to own a home. Maybe 10% have just made a life choice that they don't want to own a home.
Well, and that's fine. That's fine. I mean, I think home ownership is a great thing. It doesn't mean that that's what you're supposed to do. It's certainly a big part of your net worth if that's what's important to you.
I just don't think this is a bad story. I mean, you look at the spectrum of millennials out there. It's a wide range of spectrum. They're as old as 37 now, and I think as young as 20, 22 or 23, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And only 10% don't expect to own a home. I think that's a low number. I think that's a good number. That means 90% expect to own a home.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's. Yeah, I'm with you. That's not a disaster by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't know if that's up from previous numbers, but I understand the reasons for staying mobile at that age, ready to go
Absolutely.
at any time at the drop of a hat. Yes, I can take that job in Boise.
Now, speaking of home ownership, or at least a home, a Democrat Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, she's calling for a $1 trillion housing program. Taxpayers would pay to build 12 million welfare apartment units across the country. Now, free enterprise advocate Mark Little of Los Angeles was on Fox just a few minutes ago to discuss the Omar plan.
Steve, the reality is that we're dealing with a statist, a big government statist. We've gone from a $52 trillion universal health care plan by Elizabeth Warren, and now a $1.2 trillion program by Ilhan Omar. Both of these plans are really designed to bankrupt America. Big government leads to less freedom. And the reality is that Ilhan Omar is calling it a human right, a basic human right. We have to listen to the language. The reality is that human rights, or natural rights, as described by John Locke, are not dependent on government, and they're guaranteed by God. What she's really talking about is a legal right, which is dependent on government and can be revoked. If you just look at our friends in Hong Kong and Iran, they are under government-given rights, and they're being taken away, and they want what we want, which Ilhan Omar is very much trying to take away. With a sleight of hand, I might add.
Now, listen, that's some pretty interesting thoughts there. Jump in here at 512-836-0590, a $1 trillion welfare housing program.
Wow.
That's quite a bit, man.
I'd like to meet all these people I'd be housing, since I am going to pay for it, or I would be paying for it.
You're very generous.
I would like to know them, and certainly them get to know me and see what a good guy I am.
Now, also in the world of business, a slump is unlikely next year. Yeah, the former Fed chairwoman, Janet Yellen, she told the World Business Forum in New York that she doesn't expect a recession during next year. But Yellen, who led the policymakers at the Federal Reserve from 2014 to 2018, added that she thinks, quotes, the odds of a recession are higher than normal and at a level I'm frankly not comfortable with. So there is reason to worry. But not next year, she says. Now, the central bank cut rates for a third time this year in September as trade battles between the world's biggest economies weigh in on business investment globally.
Bad news for Democrats there, to have a good economy for another year during the race. That's unfortunate for them.
That's unfortunate for them.
That's unfortunate.
Tech news, check this out. It's a marijuana breathalyzer. This is some new technology. There's some new marijuana technology that's ready to hit the market and is expected to make it easier for the popo to put the brakes on drivers. Now, researchers at the University of Pittsburgh admit that blood testing is still the best way. However, they hope that this new technology will help police identify impaired drivers in the field with this breath test. Now, the prototype looks very similar to a breathalyzer for alcohol, and the University of Pittsburgh is not the only one working on this kind of technology. California's Hound Labs, they've been developing the very same technology as well. And some people are already raising concerns about the reliability of the testing.
Does it detect the smell of marijuana, or does it detect the smell of Doritos?
It's the smell of Doritos and Mountain Dew.
Right.
It actually checks your Mountain Dew blood level. Got a problem at the animal shelter, the San Marcos Regional Animal Shelter. Did you hear what the problem is down there? Well, they got too many cocks that they're trying to house.
Pardon?
Yeah, the Hays County Sheriff's Office has saved 118 roosters and hens after a cockfighting bust in Hays County this week. Now, according to the San Marcos Regional Animal Shelter, it took in the birds, but was understandably overwhelmed by the number of them. In their Facebook post, they wrote, "As you can expect, we were not ready for this number of animals all at once, and we need your help collecting extra kennels to keep them separated, as well as chicken feed and disposable trays or pans that we can so we can keep them fed. You got to keep them separated. When you bring in 118 fighters, you can't put them inside the same cage. No. Believe me, I know this. I grew up across the street from a man who had a large cockfighting operation in his 2-car garage.
No.
Yeah, this was this is back in the early 70s. I remember it very clearly. Some of my earliest memories, cockfighting in my neighbor's garage.
Wow.
Yeah, he had, I don't know how many birds he had, maybe 20 or 30 birds in his garage. And he had a couple of sons I ran with and taught us everything about cockfighting.
How those sons...
It was legal back then, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How those sons doing today, by the way, I wonder.
What do you mean?
I wonder where those sons are.
I have no idea.
Growing up in a cockfighting household.
You think it'd be bad?
I don't know. But
they learn business.
Did it disturb you seeing that as a kid?
No. I've been killing chickens all my life. Oh. I've been killing and eating chickens pretty routinely throughout my life.
Yeah.
Not a big deal.
Okay.
Should this be a crime?
Cockfighting?
Yeah. Just curious. What do you think? I mean, these cocks may have to be killed.
Yeah.
Because some of them can't be adopted because they're aggressive cockfighting. They're aggressive like a pit bull.
I've never laid in bed and thought, should cockfighting be illegal or not? You're going to have to give me 1 second. I know it is illegal, and
well, take your time. You think about it.
I think it's cruel and unusual.
Well, here's what Stephen Heath says. He's the San Marcos Animal Protection Supervisor. Wow, there's a lot more than we thought we were going to get. He says the Hays County Sheriff's Office gave them a heads up about an influx of feathers. They were behind fences, so people had to make a guess. Had to guesstimate how many they got word they were going to get about 50. Turned out to be 118. And once they received the birds, he says they called in, a contracted veterinarian to check them out for disease, that kind of thing. The shelter will accept donations to care for the roosters. And I guess you can reach out to the San Marcos Regional Animal Shelter.
When you think animal shelter, you usually think dogs or cats. But animals mean animals.
What's wrong
Whatever you got.
What's wrong with checking them for disease and then actually killing them and feeding the homeless in San Marcos? What's wrong with that?
I know, exactly.
Well, I think some people may have a problem with that. These weren't pets.
No, these aren't. These are fighters. These are born fighters.
These are weapons of war.
They're killers. So, yeah, exactly.
Now, he says the birds are at the shelter temporarily, and once a judge hears the case, they will go to a wildlife rescue where they'll decide whether or not to keep them or put them up for adoption.
I say.
So some of them are going to be killed anyway.
Deep fryer.
Now, this will end up being a very good situation in the end. It started out not so great, but it's the best solution for these animals, and they will most likely lead a much happier, longer life being in the situation where they're going into. So there you go.
Think they'll be happy? Think they actually experience happiness?
I don't know.
Emotion?
I don't know. I don't know if roosters feel that
Deep
or not.
fry 'em, 11 herbs and spices up in there, and let's have some good chicken.
Yeah, the story here from KXAN, it doesn't mention who they arrested. I would think they arrested some people. Is that a felony?
What's the bigger problem?
Cockfighting a felony? I think it is.
Is the problem the gambling, or is it the fighting itself?
I don't know, man.
If you and I just
seems a little cruel.
Well, it does, but if you and I got our chickens together, and we've never done that, by the way, we should, and just wanted to have a little fight, in and of itself, is that okay? Or if it's you and I start to exchange money, then we got trouble.
Well, you can GTS the
I'm gonna
law,
look
but
into this.
It is illegal to do cockfighting in Texas.
Yeah.
I wish maybe we could. I don't know how many people they arrested. I mean, it sounds like it was a pretty big operation. Mm-hmm. Like a Thunderdome, like a feathered Thunderdome.
Yeah, exactly. So they put the They put the things around their talons,
You
right?
mean hooks, claws, spikes?
Is that what they are?
Oh, it's a bloody, vicious battle. It truly is. It could be incredibly bloody.
So it's not just cocks slapping each other.
No.
Yeah,
No, it's not that at all. No, it's not that at all.
Okay.
Thank you so much. It is 6:26 here on the Todd and Don Show.
The Todd and Don Show.